Martinez pushed his shopping cart through the parking lot as the evening sun painted the sky orange and pink. The grocery store was quieter than usual for a Thursday night. He loaded the bags into his truck, thinking about the math tests he needed to grade over the weekend. That was when he heard it, a soft crying sound coming from behind the store. Paused. The sound was strange, not quite like a human child but close enough to make his heart clench. He had been a teacher for 8 years now, and he knew the sound of a scared kid when he heard it. He walked around to the back of the building near the dumpsters. There, huddled against the wall, was a small figure. At first, thought it might be a child in a costume, but as he got closer, he realized the truth. It was an alien child. The little one was one of the species that had made contact with Earth 5 years ago. She had smooth gray-blue skin that seemed to shimmer slightly in the fading light. Her eyes were large and dark, currently filled with tears. She looked to be about 6 or 7 years old by human standards, though new alien ages were hard to judge. "Hey there," said softly, crouching down a few feet away. He kept his voice calm and gentle, the same way he talked to scared students on their first day of school. "Are you okay?" The child looked up at him with those huge eyes. She said something in a language did not understand. Her small hand touched a device on her collar, and it made a crackling sound before going silent. The translator was broken. His mind raced. It was nearly 7 in the evening. The alien liaison office in town would be closed until morning. The police station was an option, but he knew from the news that they were not always equipped to handle alien children, especially ones who could not communicate. The little girl was shivering. The Oregon coast got cold at night, and she was wearing only a thin outfit that looked torn in places. "Are you hungry?" asked, making eating motions with his hands. The child watched him carefully, then nodded slowly. Smiled. "Okay, let me see what I have." He went back to his truck and grabbed one of his grocery bags. He pulled out an apple and a granola bar. Walking back slowly, he held them out to her. The child hesitated, then reached out and took the apple. She sniffed it cautiously before taking a small bite. Her face lit up, and she ate it quickly. Sat down on the pavement, keeping some distance between them. "I am," he said, pointing to himself. The child pointed to herself and made a sound that ears could barely process. It sounded something like, but with tones his human voice probably could not reproduce. He asked. She nodded eagerly. They sat there for a few more minutes. Tried calling the non-emergency police line, but after explaining the situation, they told him the alien liaison would not be available until 8 in the morning. They could send a patrol car, but it would be hours before anyone who knew how to handle the situation could help. Would be stuck at the police station all night with strangers who could not talk to her. Looked at the small alien child. She had finished the apple and was now eating the granola bar. She kept looking around nervously, as if expecting danger from every shadow. He thought about his own sister, Lisa, who had gotten lost at a fair when they were kids. She had been only 5 years old and had been 12. They had found her 3 hours later, crying and terrified. That fear in her eyes had never left his memory. Lisa had died in a car accident when she was 16 and still thought about her every day. He could not leave this child alone in the cold, scared and unable to communicate with anyone. He said gently, "Would you like to come home with me? Just for tonight, we will find your family tomorrow." She did not understand his words, but she seemed to understand his tone. After a long moment, she nodded. Stood up slowly and held out his hand. Looked at it, then placed her small 3-fingered hand in his. Her skin was cool and smooth, like touching silk. They walked to his truck together, helped her into the passenger seat and buckled her in. She was so small that she barely reached the headrest. As he drove to his house on the edge of town, pressed her face against the window, watching the streets pass by. His home was a small 2-bedroom place about a mile from the beach. It was not much, but it was comfortable. He led inside and turned on the lights. She stood in the middle of his living room, looking around with wide eyes. "Are you still hungry?" asked, rubbing his stomach and pointing to the kitchen. Nodded. In the kitchen, opened his refrigerator and let her look inside. She pointed to some grapes, some cheese, and surprisingly, some leftover chicken. Put together a simple plate for her. Ate carefully, trying each item before deciding if she liked it. While she ate, noticed a small device on her wrist. It looked like some kind of technology, possibly a tracker or communication device. But like her translator, it seemed damaged. The screen was cracked and dark. After finished eating, showed her to his guest room. He had not used it much since his friend Ben had stayed there 6 months ago. Found some clean clothes, though everything was too big for her. He gave her a soft t-shirt that hung on her like a dress. Seemed confused by the bed at first, but after showed her how to lie down on it, she seemed to understand. He brought her a blanket and turned on the TV to a channel showing cartoons. Within minutes, was staring at the screen, fascinated. Sat in the hallway outside the room, his phone in his hand. He had sent an email to the alien liaison office explaining the situation. He hoped they would respond first thing in the morning. Around 10 at night, heard sounds from the guest room. He looked in to find had fallen asleep, still sitting up against the pillows. The cartoon was still playing softly. Gently helped her lie down properly and pulled the blanket over her. She did not wake up. He went to his own room but found it hard to sleep. His mind kept running through everything that had happened. Where were his parents? How had she ended up alone behind a grocery store? Was she in danger? Around midnight, heard a car drive slowly past his house. Then another one about 20 minutes later. He got up and looked out his window but saw nothing. Still, something felt wrong. He checked all his doors and windows, making sure they were locked. He looked in on one more time. She was sleeping peacefully now, curled up under the blanket. Whatever had happened to her, at least she was safe and warm tonight. Finally fell asleep around 2 in the morning. He woke to sunlight streaming through his window. It was just past 7. Got up and quickly dressed. He could hear sounds from the guest room. When he looked in, he found awake, sitting on the bed and drawing on a notepad he had left on the nightstand. She was sketching something that looked like buildings under a purple sky. "Good morning," said with a smile. Looked up and gave him a small smile back. "Let me make us some breakfast, and then we will call someone to help find your family." "Okay." Seemed to understand his tone, if not his words. She nodded. Went to the kitchen and started making scrambled eggs and toast. He was just finishing when he heard it. A heavy, hard knock on his front door. 3 precise knocks that sounded almost military in their timing. Stomach tightened. Something about that knock felt different from a normal visitor. He walked to the front door and looked through the peephole. Standing on his porch was a tall female. She was not like Little. This alien was wearing some kind of armor that seemed to shift colors in the morning light. Her face was hard and cold, her dark eyes scanning everything around her with the focus of a predator. Even through the door, could sense the danger radiating from her. The woman knocked again, harder this time. Took a deep breath and opened the door. The woman on's porch was at least 6.5 feet tall. Her gray-blue skin had a darker tone than's, and her eyes held a hardness that made his breath catch in his throat. She wore armor that seemed to be made of overlapping plates, and could see the outline of weapons attached to her belt and thighs. "I am looking for my daughter," the woman said in perfect English. Her voice was cold and precise. "She is here." His hand tightened on the doorframe. "I would like to see some identification first." The woman's eyes narrowed. Her hand moved toward something on her belt and his heart started racing. But instead of a weapon, she pulled out a small device. She touched it, and a holographic image appeared in the air between them. It showed the woman holding a smaller version of herself. The child in the image was clearly. "Her name is Hal," the woman said. She has been missing for 3 days. She was last seen wearing a blue travel suit. She has a translator device on her collar and a tracking band on her left wrist. Recognized the description immediately. He was about to respond when he heard small footsteps behind him, appeared in the hallway, saw the woman at the door, and let out a cry that was both joy and relief. Mama ran past and threw herself at the tall woman. The hardness in the woman's face cracked completely. She dropped to her knees and pulled into her arms, holding her so tightly that thought she might hurt the child, but just held on, crying into her mother's shoulder. The woman's hands moved over quickly, checking for injuries with the skill of someone with medical training. She spoke too in their own language, soft words that could not understand, but recognized as the sound of a worried parent. After a long moment, the woman looked up at. Her eyes were no longer cold. They were filled with tears that she was trying very hard not to let fall. "Thank you," she said quietly. "Thank you for protecting her." Nodded, feeling the tension in his shoulders ease just slightly. She was alone and scared. I could not just leave her there. The woman stood up, still holding in her arms. "I am, most beings call me." She hesitated, then added, "You should know that by bringing my daughter into your home, you may have put yourself in danger." "What do you mean?" asked. Looked past him into the house, her eyes scanning for threats even now. "May I come inside? This conversation should not happen where others can see." Stepped back and let her enter. Carried to the couch and sat down, keeping the child close. Sat in a chair across from them. "3 days ago," began, "I was on assignment protecting a diplomat. He has been working on new trade agreements with Earth. Some members of our government do not want these agreements to happen. They sent people to kill him." "But what does that have to do with?" asked. "They could not kill him while I was protecting him," said. Her voice was matter of fact, but heard the pride underneath. "So they decided to remove me from the situation. They took from her school. They planned to use her to force me away from my duty. Felt sick, they kidnapped a child." "Yes." Arms tightened around, "but my daughter is brave and smart. During the transport, she found a way to escape. She ran and hid. By the time I was informed of her kidnapping, she was already gone. Her tracking device was damaged, giving only weak signals. I have been hunting for her ever since." "And the diplomat?" asked. "Still alive. I assigned backup protection before I left to find. The assassination failed." Looked down at her daughter. "But I failed as a mother. I put my child in danger." "You saved a life," said, "and escaped on her own. That sounds like you raised a smart, brave kid." Looked at him with something that might have been surprise. "You are very calm about this, human. Most civilians would be terrified." Shrugged. "I teach 8-year-olds. I have seen scary things." For the first time, his mouth curved into something almost like a smile. It disappeared quickly. She pulled out the device from her belt again, the one she had used to show the holographic image. Her expression changed as she looked at the screen. "What is it?" asked. "They have found us," said quietly. "The people who took. They tracked the signal from her wrist device when it powered on near a charging field. Your home has electronic devices that created enough interference to mask the signal temporarily, but now they know where she is." Felt his blood turn cold. "How long do we have?" 20 minutes, maybe less." Stood up, already moving into action. "You need to leave, take your vehicle and drive far from here. I will handle this." "This is my home," said, standing up as well. "I am not leaving." Turned to look at him. "These are trained killers. You are a civilian." "I am a civilian with guns," said. "I go hunting with my friend Ben every year. I know how to shoot." "This is not hunting deer," said sharply. "No, it is protecting a child." Met her eyes. "I am not leaving. What do you need me to do?" Studied him for a long moment. Could see her weighing options, calculating risks. Finally, she gave a small nod. "You may be more useful than a typical human civilian. Very well. Do you have weapons?" In my bedroom closet, 2 hunting rifles and a shotgun. Get them, also bring all ammunition you have. Was already moving through his house, looking at windows and doors with a tactical eye. How many entrances to this building? Front door, back door, and a side door from the garage, said, heading to his bedroom. He opened his closet and pulled out his gun safe. His hands were shaking as he entered the code, but he forced himself to stay calm. He grabbed both rifles and the shotgun, along with all the ammunition boxes he had. When he came back to the living room, he found had moved furniture to create defensive positions. The weapons, she said, examining what he brought. They are basic but functional. Can you shoot accurately under pressure? I have never had to, admitted, but I am a good shot at the range. Being shot at is very different from targets, said. She handed him one of the rifles. Take position at the upstairs window that faces the street. If you see vehicles approach, call down to me. Do not fire unless I tell you to. Nodded and started toward the stairs. He paused. Where is? I have put her in your bathroom with instructions to hide in the tub. It is the safest room. Checked her own weapons, pulling out devices that did not recognize. I will not let them take her again. Neither will I, said. He went upstairs and positioned himself at the window of his spare bedroom. From here, he could see down his street. The neighborhood looked normal. A few neighbors were leaving for work. Mrs. from 2 houses down was watering her garden. His phone was in his pocket. He pulled it out and called 911. 911, what is your emergency? The operator answered. This is Martinez at 427 Beach Road. I need police and possibly SWAT at my location immediately. There are going to be armed individuals attacking my home. Sir, can you explain what is happening? Tried to keep his voice steady. I helped a lost alien child last night. Her mother is here now, and the people who kidnapped the child are coming to my house. They are armed and dangerous. The operator's tone changed immediately. Sir, stay on the line. I am dispatching units now. Do not engage with the attackers. Just get here fast, said. He kept the phone on, setting it beside him on the windowsill. His hands gripped the rifle. He had fired this gun hundreds of times at the range and during hunting trips, but was right. This was different. 5 minutes passed, then 10, was starting to think maybe he had been wrong about the timing. Then he saw them. 3 dark vehicles turned onto his street, moving too fast for the residential area. They were not normal cars. They looked military, with reinforced frames and dark windows. They are here, called down. 3 vehicles, maybe 8 or 9 people total. Appeared at the bottom of the stairs. Remember, do not fire until I say, and when you do fire, make every shot count. We do not have ammunition to waste. The vehicle stopped in front of his house. Doors opened. Counted 8 figures getting out. They were different species. Some looked human but moved wrong. Others were clearly alien. All of them carried weapons that made hunting rifles look like toys. One of them, a huge creature with red-brown skin and a face, stepped forward. He was looking right at his house. The creature shouted, "We know you are in there. We know the child is with you. Surrender yourself and we will let the human live." Looked down at, she stood in his living room, a weapon in each hand, her face completely calm. She looked up at and shook her head once. The message was clear, do not believe them. You have 1 minute to decide, the creature called out. Moved to the front window, staying to the side where she could not be easily seen. She called back, "You know I do not surrender, and you know if you kill a human on Earth soil, your employer will face consequences beyond your imagination." "Then I guess we will all take that chance," replied. The minute of waiting ended, raised his weapon, aiming at his house. The battle began. The first shot cracked through the morning air and punched a hole through his front window. Glass exploded inward, spraying across his living room floor. Dropped down behind the windowsill upstairs. his heart hammering so hard he could hear it in his ears. "Stay low," called from below. "They are testing our response. Do not give away your position yet." More shots came, methodical and precise. They were aiming at different windows, trying to figure out where the defenders were positioned. Heard move across the room below him, her footsteps almost silent despite the chaos. His voice boomed across the yard. "Last chance, send out the child and yourself. The human dies either way, but we can make it quick." "Humans have a saying," shouted back, "come and take her." Almost laughed despite his fear. Had learned that phrase from Earth's history. The attack began in earnest. 3 of the attackers rushed the front door while the others provided covering fire. Watched them come, his finger on the trigger, waiting for command. "Now," yelled the one on the left. Aimed at the leftmost attacker and fired. The rifle kicked against his shoulder. His shot went wide, hitting the ground near the attacker's feet. But it was enough to make them scatter, breaking their coordinated rush. Fired from the downstairs window. Unlike her shots did not miss. The leftmost attacker went down, clutching their leg. The other 2 retreated to the vehicles for cover. "Good," called up. "You do not need to hit them, just make them afraid to approach." Reloaded and took aim again. His hands were steadier now. He fired twice more, forcing one of the attackers to dive behind a vehicle. The shotgun blasts from below made another one retreat. But could see this was not going to work long term. They were outnumbered and the attackers had better weapons and more ammunition. They were just testing defenses right now, but eventually they would rush the house all at once and then would not be able to stop them all. A shot came through the upstairs window, close enough that felt the heat of it pass by his face. He rolled away from the window, his heart racing. Called, "We cannot hold here. We need to retreat. Can you get to the stairs?" Looked at the stairway. It was exposed to the front of the house. If he tried to run down, they would see him through the broken windows. Not safely. "Then I am coming to you. Cover the front." Leaned around the window frame and fired 3 quick shots at the vehicles. He did not aim carefully, just wanted to keep their heads down. It worked for a few seconds. Appeared at the top of the stairs, moving so fast she was almost a blur. She grabbed his arm. "Downstairs now, stay low." They ran down the stairs together, keeping below the windows. Pulled him into the kitchen, the most protected part of the house. Was there, huddled under the kitchen table. When she saw her mother, she started to cry. Knelt beside her daughter. "Brave girl, stay quiet just a little longer," she looked at. "We need another way out. The back door will be covered by now." Thought fast. "My basement, there is a tunnel." "A tunnel?" His eyes widened. "Where does it lead?" "To the beach. This house was built during Earth's Prohibition era. The original owner used the tunnel to smuggle alcohol from boats. Had always thought it was a cool piece of history. Now it might save their lives." "Show me," said. They went to the basement door. Could hear the attackers outside, shouting to each other. They were preparing for another rush. He opened the basement door and led down the old wooden stairs. The basement was dark and smelled like old concrete. Turned on the light, revealing a small space filled with storage boxes and his old water heater. At the far wall was what looked like a normal shelf unit. Pulled it aside, revealing a narrow opening in the wall. "The tunnel is tight," said, "and it is about a 1/4 mile long. It comes out in a rock formation on the beach." Looked at the tunnel, then back up at the ceiling as more shots hit the house. "It is better than staying here. Can you lead us through?" "Yes," grabbed a flashlight from a shelf. "Follow me." The tunnel was cold and damp. Had explored it a few times when he first moved in, but he had never actually gone all the way through. The ceiling was low, forcing them to crouch as they walked. The walls were old brick, crumbling in places. Held onto both shirt and her mother's hand, staying between them. Kept looking back, her weapon ready in case anyone followed. They were about halfway through when heard the explosion. The house shook, dust falling from the tunnel ceiling, let out a small cry of fear. "They are destroying your home," said quietly. "I am sorry." "It is just a building," said, though his heart hurt thinking about all his possessions, his photos of Lisa, everything he owned. "We can rebuild buildings." They kept moving, could feel the tunnel sloping upward now, heading toward the beach. He could hear water in the distance, waves crashing against rocks. Behind them there was a new sound, footsteps in the basement. Someone had found the tunnel. "They are following," said. She stopped and pulled something from her belt. "Keep moving, I will slow them down." Heard a click, then threw something back down the tunnel. She grabbed his arm and pulled him forward. "Run, now." They ran, crouching low, moving as fast as they could in the cramped space. Behind them there was a deep boom and the tunnel shook violently. Part of the ceiling collapsed, blocking the passage. "What was that?" gasped. "Collapsing charge, small explosive. The tunnel is now blocked." Push them forward. "But it will only stop them for a few minutes. They will find another way around." Saw light ahead. The tunnel exit. He climbed through the opening and found himself in a small cave in the rock formation. The beach stretched out in front of them, empty in the early morning light. And climbed out behind him. They stood on the sand looking around. Could see his house in the distance, smoke rising from it. His neighbors were outside, watching. He could hear sirens, but they sounded far away. "We need transportation," said, scanning the beach. "Can you call someone?" Pulled out his phone. Amazingly, it still had signal. He called Ben. "Man, I just saw smoke near your place. Are you okay?" Ben answered immediately. "Ben, I need your help. Can you bring your boat to the South Beach access point? Right now. Do not ask questions, just please trust me." There was a pause. "I will be there in 5 minutes." Hung up and looked at. "My friend is bringing a boat. We can escape by water." Nodded, but her face was grim. She was looking at the rocks above the beach. "They will not let us escape that easily." She was right. 4 figures appeared at the top of the rocks. They must have circled around while and were in the tunnel. Recognized one of them as the big creature with the face. "You have nowhere to run," called down. "The water will not save you. We have vehicles that can follow. Surrender now, and I give you my word the human will live." Looked at the ocean. He could see a small boat in the distance coming fast. That had to be Ben. But he was still 2 or 3 minutes away, and his people were climbing down the rocks toward them. Stood in front of her, weapons raised. She had maybe 4 shots left. Had his rifle, but he was down to his last magazine. 5 rounds. 9 enemies total, though one was injured back at the house. Still 8 against 2. The odds were terrible. Looked at his phone. He still had the 911 call going. The operator was saying something, but he was not listening. An idea came to him, wild and desperate. He said quietly, "Do you trust me?" She glanced at him. "You have earned that trust. What is your plan?" Humans have something these people do not understand. Opened his phone's camera and set it to, "We have witnesses." He started the stream, making sure his face was visible. Within seconds, people were joining. The numbers climbed fast. 10 viewers, 50, 100. His local followers, people from town, they were all seeing this. "My name is Martinez," he said clearly into the camera. "I am a teacher at Coastal Elementary School. I found a lost alien child yesterday and helped her. Now her mother is here, and we are being attacked by people who want to kill them. We are on South Beach. If you can hear this, please send help." He turned the camera toward and the others, making sure their faces were visible. "These people kidnapped a child. They attacked my home. They are trying to kill us right now on Earth soil." The viewer count was over 500 now. 1,000. People were commenting, sharing the stream. Could see messages flying by. People saying they were calling the police, the Coast Guard, the military. Stopped climbing down the rocks. He was staring at the phone. Understanding dawned on his face. "You are making a mistake," human said. His voice was not as confident now. "No," said, still filming. "You made the mistake. You forgot that humans protect each other, and we remember. Everyone watching this stream is recording your face. If you kill us, every human on Earth will know exactly who you are." The sirens were getting louder. Could see boats on the horizon now, moving fast. Coast Guard vessels. Ben's smaller boat was just reaching the shore. Looked at his companions. They were arguing in a language could not understand, but he could see the fear in their body language. This had gone wrong for them in ways they had not expected. "It is over," said. "Leave now and you might escape. Stay and Earth's military will capture you, and humans do not forget crimes against children." His hand moved toward his weapon. For a moment, thought he was going to try to shoot them anyway, consequences be damned. Stepped in front of and ready to give her life to protect them. But stepped forward, putting himself in front of. If was going to shoot someone, it would have to be a human. On camera, with thousands of witnesses. Raised his weapon, aiming directly at its chest. Time seemed to slow down. Kept the camera steady, kept recording, kept the world watching. The sounds of the Coast Guard boats were very close now. Sirens wailed from multiple directions. The beach access points were filling with police vehicles. His finger moved toward the trigger. Time moved like honey. Stared at the weapon pointed at his chest. He could see his finger on the trigger. Behind him, he heard crying softly. Was speaking in her own language, probably praying or saying goodbye. Kept his phone steady, kept filming. 3,000 viewers now. 5,000. The whole world was watching. Then moved faster than thought possible. Her hand flashed out, throwing one of her blades. It struck his weapon hand just as he pulled the trigger. The shot went wide, hitting sand 5 feet to his left. Roared in pain, dropping his weapon. Coast Guard boats hit the beach. Officers poured out, weapons drawn. Police vehicles surrounded the area from the land side. A helicopter appeared overhead, spotlight blazing even in the daylight. "Drop your weapons, get on the ground." The amplified voice boomed across the beach. Looked at the forces surrounding them. He looked at his bleeding hand. He looked at his phone, still streaming to thousands of people. His face twisted with rage and frustration. "This is not over," he snarled. Then he and his people turned and ran toward the water. They dove in and swam hard, heading for something could not see, probably an underwater vehicle. Coast Guard boats pursued them. Within minutes, the attackers were surrounded in the water, forced to surrender. Watched as they were pulled from the ocean, hands bound, weapons taken. He finally lowered his phone, ending the. His hands were shaking so badly he almost dropped it. Ben's voice called. His friend ran across the beach, his face pale with fear and confusion. What the hell just happened? Tried to answer but found he could not speak. All the fear and adrenaline from the last hour hit him at once. His legs gave out. He sat down hard on the sand. Knelt beside him, still holding. "You are in shock. This is normal. Breathe slowly." Paramedics arrived, checking all of them. Was unharmed. Had a cut on her arm from broken glass but refused treatment until was examined first. Had minor cuts and bruises but nothing serious. The physical wounds were small. The emotional ones would take longer to heal. Police and federal agents swarmed the beach, answered questions for what felt like hours. He explained everything from finding to the attack on his house. They took his phone as evidence, copying the and all the footage he had recorded. An FBI agent named Agent Phillips sat down with on the back of an ambulance. "Mr. Martinez, you did something incredibly brave today, also incredibly foolish." "I know," said quietly. "That saved your life," Phillips continued. "It also created a major diplomatic incident. The people who attacked you, they work for a faction within the government that opposes Earth relations. By attacking you on Earth soil, they violated about 15 different treaties." "What happens now?" asked. "The Galactic Council is already involved. Earth's government is demanding answers and compensation. As for you, you are probably going to be very famous for a while. Phillips looked at with something like sympathy. Your home was destroyed. We will need you to stay available for more questions. Do you have somewhere to go? Ben spoke up before could answer. He can stay with me. Looked at his friend. Ben, you do not have to. We have been friends since high school, Ben said firmly. You are staying with me. End of discussion. 2 days later, sat in Ben's living room watching himself on the news. The attack had made international headlines. His had been viewed millions of times. News anchors called him a hero. Social media was full of people praising his courage and kindness. Did not feel like a hero. He felt tired and sad. His home was destroyed. Everything he owned was gone, including all his photos of Lisa. Insurance would cover rebuilding, but some things could not be replaced. His principal had called to give him as much time off as he needed. His students had made him cards, which Ben had picked up from the school. Read through them, tears in his eyes. The kids had drawn pictures of him as a superhero protecting an alien child. There was a knock on Ben's door. When Ben opened it, federal agents were outside. Mr. Martinez needs to come with us. The president wants to speak with him. Blinked the president of the United States. Yes, sir. It is a video call and it is very important. An hour later, sat in a government building downtown, staring at a screen. The President of the United States looked back at him from the White House. Mr. Martinez, the President said warmly, on behalf of the nation, I want to thank you. Your actions have strengthened Earth's position in the galactic community. You showed the universe what human values look like. Did not know what to say. I just helped a lost kid, sir. You did more than that. You protected the innocent at great personal cost. You faced down armed attackers with nothing but a phone and your courage. And you proved that humans will not tolerate violence against children, any children on our soil. The president smiled. We are going to rebuild your home with government funds. We are also setting up a fund for you to compensate for your losses. You deserve far more than we can give you. Thank you, sir, managed to say. After the call ended, Agent Phillips walked out. There is someone else who wants to see you. She has been waiting for 2 days. Stood in the hallway. She looked different. Less like a warrior, more like a tired mother. Was with her holding her hand. Said, there was something in her voice he had not heard before, uncertainty. May I speak with you? They walked outside to a small garden area, ran ahead looking at flowers, and sat on a bench. I owe you a debt, said. In my culture, you saved my daughter's life twice. That creates a bond that cannot be easily repaid. You do not owe me anything, said. Anyone would have done the same. No, shook her head. Most beings would not. I have traveled many worlds. I have seen how most species treat strangers. But you saw a frightened child and chose compassion. You saw danger coming and chose courage. These are rare traits, Martinez. I lost everything, said quietly. My home, my things, my photos. I do not feel very courageous. Things can be replaced, said. Lives cannot. You chose correctly. She looked at playing in the flowers. I have been offered a new position. Earth wants a security liaison. Someone to help coordinate protection for aliens living on Earth and to train your security forces in handling situations like what happened. That sounds like a good job, said. It is based here, in your town, looked at him. I want to grow up somewhere safe, somewhere she can have a normal childhood, not moving from mission to mission, always in danger. Earth can give her that. Understood, you are staying. If I accept the position, yes, would go to school here. We would need a place to live. I would need to learn about human culture, human ways of living. Hesitated. I am a warrior. I know combat and tactics and how to kill. I do not know how to be a neighbor or how to help a child with homework or how to be normal. Are you asking for help? Asked. Yes, met his eyes. You showed me something I had forgotten. That kindness matters. that protecting others is more important than any mission. I want to be a better mother too. I want to give her the life her father wanted for her before he died protecting us. Thought about his sister Lisa, about all the years he had spent alone, missing her, about how empty his life had been before he found behind that grocery store. I will help you, he said. We can figure it out together. 2 weeks passed, stayed with Ben while his house was being rebuilt. The government workers were fast and efficient. They were not just rebuilding his old house. They were making it better, stronger with new security systems. The media attention had finally started to die down, though still got recognized when he went shopping. People wanted to shake his hand, thank him, take photos. It was overwhelming but also touching. His act of simple kindness had resonated with people around the world. He was sitting in Ben's living room, grading papers his principal had sent over, when there was a knock on the door. Ben answered it. "You have visitors." Stood on the porch, but she looked different again. She was not wearing armor. Instead, she wore simple civilian clothes, Earth-style pants, and a shirt. Was beside her, wearing a little dress with flowers on it. "Hi," said in English. Her translator was fixed now, but she had been learning English words. She seemed proud of herself. "Hi," said smiling. "You look nice." Cleared her throat. "I accepted the position. I start next week. I bought a house 3 blocks from where yours is being rebuilt." "That is great," said, genuinely happy for them. "I need to ask you something important." Looked nervous, which was strange to see on such a fierce person. "Will be enrolling in school, your school. I know you teach older children, but would you be willing to help her adjust? Help me understand how Earth schools work?" "Of course," said. "There is more." Took a breath. "I do not know how to do normal things. I do not know what parents do with children when there is no danger. I do not know how to make friends or be part of a community. You do. Would you be willing to teach me, not just about school but about living here, about being human?" Looked at this alien warrior, this mother who had crossed a galaxy to find her child, and saw someone who was just as lost as had been behind that grocery store. "I would be happy to help," said. "Being human is not that hard. It is mostly about caring for others and trying your best." Ran up and hugged, her small arms wrapped around his waist. "Thank you for helping me," she said in careful English. "You are my hero." Knelt down so he was at her eye level. "You are pretty brave yourself. You escaped from bad people all on your own. That makes you a hero too." Watched them and saw her eyes were shining with tears she would not let fall. She put her hand on her daughter's shoulder. "We should go. I have many things to prepare." As they left, felt something shift inside him. For the first time since Lisa died, he felt like his life had purpose again. He had lost his home and his possessions, but he had gained something more valuable. He had gained a family, even if it was an unusual one. His phone buzzed. It was a message from his principal. "Martinez formally enrolled for fall term, assigned to morning kindergarten class. Let me know if you want to help with orientation." Smiled. Martinez was new last name on Earth. She had taken his, probably as a way to honor what he had done. It felt right somehow. He looked out Ben's window at the ocean. His life would never be the same as it was 2 weeks ago, but maybe that was not a bad thing. Maybe he had been too isolated, too alone. Maybe finding had saved him just as much as he had saved her. Tomorrow he would help look at furniture for her new house. Next week they would register for school. In a month, his own house would be finished. Life was moving forward, and for the first time in years was moving with it. 6 months had passed since found behind the grocery store. Sometimes it felt like a lifetime ago. Other times it felt like yesterday. Stood in his rebuilt house, looking at the photos on his wall. The insurance company had recovered what they could from the ruins of his old home. Some of Lisa's photos had survived, water damaged but salvageable. He had them professionally restored and framed. They hung in his living room now, alongside new photos that told a different story. There was a photo of his first day at school, wearing her backpack that was almost as big as she was. Another of attempting to cook pancakes and somehow setting off the smoke alarm. One of the whole neighborhood gathered for a welcome party when it moved in. And's favorite, taken by Ben, and building on the beach while stood guard nearby, still unable to fully relax but at least smiling. A knock at his door pulled him from his thoughts. He opened it to find standing there with a bag of groceries. "You said Tuesday was something called taco night," said. She had gotten better at understanding Earth customs, but food was still confusing to her. "I attempted to purchase ingredients." Looked in her bag and tried not to laugh. She had bought hamburger buns instead of tortillas and gotten mild salsa instead of the spicy kind he liked. But the effort was what mattered. "Close enough," said. "Come in, I will show you how it is done." Ran in behind her mother, already talking excitedly. Her English was nearly perfect now, with only a slight accent that made her sound like she was from somewhere exotic. "Miss Harper said I got the highest score on the math test. She said I might skip ahead a grade." "That is amazing," said, giving her a high five. She had learned that gesture from the other kids and loved it. In the kitchen, taught how to brown meat and season it properly. She watched with the same intense focus she probably used to learn combat tactics. Sat at the table, coloring a picture of what she said was her family. Noticed she had drawn 3 figures, a tall blue one, a small blue one, and a human one. All 3 were holding hands. "Considers you family," said quietly, following his gaze. "So do I." Felt warmth spread through his chest. "I consider you family too." The doorbell rang. Ben walked in without waiting for an answer, carrying a case of beer and some soda for Taco Tuesday. "Am I late?" "Perfect timing," said. More people arrived. Mrs. from down the street brought homemade cookies. The family brought spring rolls. What had started as a simple dinner for and had become a weekly neighborhood gathering. Different people came each week, all wanting to spend time with the town's most famous residents. At first, there had been fear. Some people did not want an alien living in their neighborhood, especially not an alien with reputation. There had been protests at the town hall when she bought her house. Some parents did not want in school with their children. But had spoken at that town hall meeting. He had told them about finding a scared child and helping her, about how it protected them all, about how it was just a little girl who wanted to learn and play and have friends. The mayor had listened, so had most of the town. The protesters got quieter, and when started school, most parents gave her a chance. Now, 6 months later, things had changed completely. Was popular with the other kids, who thought having an alien classmate was the coolest thing ever. Taught self-defense classes at the community center that were always full. Other aliens had started moving to the town, seeing it as a safe place where humans and aliens could live together peacefully. The local economy had grown. Alien visitors came to see the town where a human teacher had protected an alien child. They stayed in hotels, ate at restaurants, bought souvenirs. What had started with one act of kindness had transformed the entire community. During dinner, his phone buzzed. She checked it and smiled slightly. "The Galactic Council has sent another message. They want to use our town as a model for human-alien integration. Representatives from 12 species want to visit next month." 12 species, Ben said, nearly choking on his taco, "here, in our little town." "Earth has become important," explained. "What happened here showed the galaxy something unexpected. Humans protect those who are weaker. They help strangers. They care about justice. These are not common traits among spacefaring species." "We are not that special," said. "Anyone would have helped." "No," said seriously. "They would not have. I have worked with dozens of species. Most would have called authorities and walked away. Some would have ignored entirely. A few might have tried to sell her, but you brought her into your home, fed her, protected her, asked for nothing in return. That is rare." Mrs. nodded. My parents came to America from China with nothing. The neighbors helped us, gave us furniture, taught us English, helped my father find work. That is what humans do, we help each other. It is what we should do, corrected. Not everyone does, but enough of us try. After dinner, everyone helped clean up. Fell asleep on couch, exhausted from her exciting day. Covered her with a blanket. She is happy here, said softly. Happier than I have ever seen her. She has friends, she has a home, she has a future. What about you? Asked. Are you happy? Considered the question. Happy is a complicated word. I spent my whole adult life fighting, always moving, always in danger. I thought that was my purpose. But now I teach others how to protect themselves instead of killing threats. I watch my daughter play without fear. I have friends who are not soldiers or operatives. She looked at. Yes, I think I am happy. It is strange but good. Smiled. Strange but good. That is a perfect way to describe the last 6 months. Ben left, followed by the other neighbors. Soon it was just and sleeping. Prepared to carry her daughter home, but stopped her. Let her sleep, she looks comfortable. He paused. Stay for a bit. I wanted to talk to you about something. They sat on his porch, looking at the stars. The night was clear and could see more stars than usual. One of those stars is said. I have not been back in 7 years. Was born there but barely remembers it. Do you miss it? Asked. Sometimes, but Earth is home now for both of us. Looked at. I received an interesting message today. The Galactic Council wants to establish more integration programs. They want humans and aliens working together, learning from each other. They asked if I would help lead the program. That is a huge responsibility, said. Yes, but I would not be doing it alone. The Council thinks the program should have both an alien and a human leader. They want someone who understands compassion and education. Someone who proved they would protect any child regardless of species. Met his eyes. They want you. Stared at her. Me, I am just a teacher. You are more than that. You are a symbol. The human who helped a lost alien child and changed everything. Smiled. Besides, teachers are perfect for this. You know how to help people learn and grow. Thought about his life before finding. He had been going through the motions, teaching his classes, going home alone. He had been surviving but not really living. Now his life was full of purpose and meaning. He had family, friends, a community that needed him. I would have to think about it, said. That is a big change. Think about it, agreed. But you have already changed so much. You changed me. You changed this town. You changed how the galaxy sees humans. Why stop now? Over the next few weeks, did think about it. He talked to his principal, who said the school would support whatever he decided. He talked to Ben, who said should do what made him happy. He talked to his students, who made him promise he would still visit even if he took a new job. Finally, he made his decision. 3 months later, stood in front of the Galactic Council. Leaders from 50 species looked at him with curiosity, some with respect, a few with skepticism. I am just a teacher from a small town, said. I am not a diplomat or a politician, but I believe in some simple truths. Every being deserves kindness. Every child deserves protection. Every person deserves a chance to prove themselves. If Earth and the galactic community can work together based on these truths, then I am honored to help make that happen. The vote was unanimous. Martinez became Earth's first human-alien integration director, was appointed as his co-director. Together, they would build programs to help humans and aliens understand each other, work together, and build a better future. But insisted on one condition. He would still live in his small town, still be part of his community, still have Taco Tuesday dinners with his neighbors, because that was what mattered most. Not grand speeches or galactic politics, but the simple connections between people trying to care for each other. 1 year after finding, sat in his backyard. It was another Taco Tuesday, but this time there were 30 people present. Humans and aliens mixed together, sharing food and stories. played tag with a group of kids that included 2 humans, one, and a small furry alien whose species still could not pronounce correctly. Stood beside him, watching the chaos with a bemused expression. I still do not fully understand this tradition. Why do humans eat messy food with their hands every Tuesday? Because it is fun, said, and it brings people together. That is what humans do best. We find excuses to gather, share food, and build community. It is very inefficient, observed. Maybe, agreed, but it is very human. Ben walked over with a new alien neighbor, a tall being with green skin and 4 arms. He just moved in last week. This is the guy I was telling you about. Offered one of his 4 hands. I am honored to meet you. Your actions inspired me to move to Earth. I wanted to live somewhere that values compassion over power. Shook his hand. Welcome to the neighborhood. Do you like tacos? As the sun set, looked around at his strange, wonderful, chaotic found family. A year ago he had been alone. Now he had more people in his life than he knew what to do with. His house was too small for all the guests. His dinner table was always crowded. His quiet life was gone forever. And he would not change a single thing. Ran up out of breath from playing. Tomorrow can you help me with my science project? We are studying Earth animals and I want to do mine on otters, like the one you gave me. Of course, said. He still had the stuffed otter he had given her that first week. It was worn now from being carried everywhere, but she refused to sleep without it. A ship passed overhead, heading to the new spaceport that had been built 50 miles away. Earth was changing. More aliens were coming every day. There were problems, of course. Misunderstandings, conflicts, challenges, but there were also opportunities, friendships, growth, hope. Thought about the scared little girl he had found behind a grocery store, about the choice he had made to help her instead of walking away. That choice had changed everything, not just for him but for the whole planet. Humans were not the strongest species. They did not have the best technology or the longest. They were not the or the fastest, but they had something special. They had the ability to see someone in need and choose to help, to protect the weak, to stand up for what was right even when it was dangerous. That was humanity's gift to the galaxy. Not weapons or ships or resources, but compassion. The simple, revolutionary belief that every life mattered, that kindness was strength, that protecting others was the highest calling. Had been just a teacher who found a lost child, but that simple act of compassion had rippled outward, touching thousands of lives, changing policies, reshaping relationships between entire species. And it had all started with one choice, the choice to help. Touched his shoulder. You are thinking deep thoughts again. Just reflecting, said. A year ago my life was very different. Mine too, said. I was a weapon, a tool for others to use. Now I am a mother, a teacher, a friend. You did that. You showed me a different way to live. We did that together, corrected. You chose to stay. You chose to change. I just helped. That is what you do, said softly. You help people. You see the best in them and help them become it. That is your true strength, Martinez, not your courage, though you have plenty of that. Your strength is believing that everyone deserves a chance to be better. The party continued late into the night. When the last guests finally left, helped carry sleeping back to their house 3 blocks away. He walked back under stars that no longer seemed quite so distant. Somewhere up there were thousands of worlds, millions of beings, and more of them were learning what it meant to be human. Not the species, but the quality, the choice to care, the decision to help, the courage to stand up for others. Went inside his house, looked at the photos on his wall and smiled. His sister Lisa was there, forever young in his memories, but beside her were new memories, new family, new hope. Tomorrow he would go to work coordinating integration programs. He would solve problems and build bridges between species. He would help shape the future of human-alien relations. But tonight he was just a teacher from a small town who had found a lost child and made a choice, the right choice. And that, he thought, was the most human thing of all. Not grand gestures or dramatic speeches, but simple kindness in moments that mattered. One person helping another. One choice creating ripples that changed the world. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, but the greatest wonder of all was right here, in small towns and crowded tables, in neighbors helping neighbors, in the choice to see someone in need and say, "I will help you." That was humanity's true strength, and would spend the rest of his life helping others understand it. Outside, the stars shone bright, and on countless worlds, beings looked toward Earth with new understanding. The humans had arrived among the stars not as conquerors but as friends, and the galaxy would never be the same,